I came to Geneva College to be an athlete, to study to become a teacher, and I also wanted to become part of Young Life at Geneva College as well. One of the best things I ever did was meet Shannon at campus someday, and pretty soon we got to talking about what Young Life was and what that looked like. For her, that looked like building and establishing Young Life in Beaver Valley as a small piece of the puzzle of Young Life in Pittsburgh, in the United States, and the world. It has been one of the best things I have ever done to be a Young Life leader and to learn from Shannon what that looked like. With getting to do Young Life in Beaver Valley, it has been one of the best things I have ever done.
When I was going off to college, a couple of my friends told me about Young Life. I had no idea what Young Life was, but whenever I went to an activities fair, there was a table, and that's where I met Shannon. A couple of days later, she spoke at an event, and at that event, she told the story of the paralytic man and how his friends did whatever they could to get him to the feet of Christ. She explained how they took up a corner of his mat and carried him all the way to Jesus. When they realized there was no room in the house, they went as far as to cut a hole in the ceiling just to get him down to the feet of Jesus. Shannon explained that this is exactly what we do as Young Life leaders. We take up a corner of the mat of our high school friends and we do whatever we can to get them to the feet of Christ. As soon as I realized that this was a possibility for me to do in college, I knew that I wanted to be a Young Life leader.
As Young Life started to grow a little on campus, they started having events. I was a sophomore when I attended one of these events where I met Shannon. Shannon didn't even know me, but was so excited to meet me and hear about my life. As I got to know this group of people, it was so clear that they exemplified Christ in the way that they lived, through unconditional love and never-ending joy. What really was attractive to me was seeing college students give their lives away to high school students and being a part of something so much bigger than themselves. 1 Thessalonians 2:8 says, "We loved you so much that we were delighted to not only share the gospel of God, but our lives as well." Young Life exemplifies Christ as he calls us to be missional. I didn't know what I was stepping into at the moment, but I knew it was going to be worth it to give my life away.
I was a sophomore at Geneva when one of my friends invited me to a Young Life retreat. I had never heard of Young Life before, but I had grown up going to different church events, so it was something that felt fun and familiar to me. Once I got there, though, there was something so much different about the people in that room. There was something so much more. I knew that when I walked into that room, it was something that I wanted to be a part of. There was no doubt in my mind that if I stepped into this, that I would find life to the full. It was a deeper and richer form of ministry that I had never gotten to witness before. But I knew that if I was faithful to go, that the Lord would use me.
One of my favorite parts about being a Young Life leader at Beaver Falls has been watching Club grow from a few of us in Renee Stewart's living room to getting to move into Soma, where we've had kids piling in to listen to crazy music and have a time of their lives and be able to be themselves. And I got to watch kids open up and hear the gospel proclamation at the end of the night. Club has grown from that small living room space to where it is now at the Red House, and we've also been able to continue to do that outside during these times.
When I became a leader at Beaver, there wasn't much ministry happening. It looked a lot like me and Shannon going down to games or going to town and praying that we would meet girls. I didn't believe that there would be growth for a really long time. Shannon continued to remind me that the Lord is faithful and that he's going to do exceedingly abundantly more than we could ever ask or think if we continue to pray big prayers. Ever since then, I've seen the Lord do just that. Our team has grown and we've met so many amazing girls that we've become so close with. We see a big vision for these girls' lives, and we know that they're going to change their high schools forever. We meet with them weekly at a small group Bible study that we call Campaigners, and at this weekly Bible study, we have the best time of our weeks. We just enjoy so much getting to scripture with them and talking about what looking like Jesus looks like and what life with him looks like. We started with a team of 2 and now we have a team of 6, and we've just been able to see so much growth happen year by year, and we continue to see it grow. It's been the sweetest time seeing how the Lord shows up and is so faithful to us anytime that we're willing to go. I know that the Lord is going to continue to grow it as long as we continue to show up.
When I first stepped in as a Young Life leader in Beaver Falls High School, I was scared but also excited. At first, it looked like showing up to leadership to build community, to football games and to dismissal, to get to know kids. So growing into the role of a Young Life leader is hard. Shannon was a big part in discipling me through that. She never ceased to cast a vision that showing up was worth it, that getting to know a couple kids over time was worth it. And we did that through contact work. Contact work is essentially being where kids are. At first, contact work looked like Josh and I showing up to football games and to McDonald's just to be where kids at, just to be in their lives. From there, we've grown to know so many more kids just by showing up consistently in their lives and knowing them for who they are. The more Young Life grows in this area, the more leaders that I have on my team and the more leaders that we have in Beaver Valley, the more contact work we can do, the more relationships we can have with kids, and the more lives we can be in. Over the past 5 years, I've been a volunteer leader and investing in kids and leaders and my team, and it's been so life-giving. But now as an adult, as a post-grad, I have a career and I just stepped onto committee, and it's incredible how much work goes into the adult world of Young Life. So if we didn't have adults working and praying over this community, I would not have been able to do what I did as a Young Life leader.
When I became a leader at Beaver Falls High School, it was the most life-giving thing I'd ever been a part of. That didn't mean that there weren't moments that weren't easy to sacrifice, but that's where Shannon and my team stepped in and reminded me of what was most important, that this was where life was found to the full. For in Mark 8:35, it says, "For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it." Not only were we building relationships with high schoolers, but we were building our teams here on campus. We would show up with them at FYF, also known as First Year Fellowship, at Shannon's house, which we call the Brick House. This was only 2 minutes away from campus. We would challenge them to see something much bigger than themselves and be a part of being missional in college. Once they caught a vision for this on campus, they had a heart for wanting to go into Beaver County and seeking out lost kids. It easily went from just the 5 of us to 100 students showing up in Shannon's backyard to it progressing into her living room and into them becoming leaders. It was incredible to get to see God use us in this way and to be a part of building His kingdom in our own backyard.